95 of Folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let it go very far.
Go out here for circuit spar Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
Move stuck. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons. Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to yet another race here with the iFormula League for the Formula 3 Series, as we are here today at the legendary Autodromo Nazionale Monza. And I am excited to be here for the very first time here in the booth for the IFL Series. And folks, it is going to be a great day here at Monza, and my name is Mason Heimbaugh with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here today. 1080p, 60 frames a second, as we always do. And qualifying currently underway. We're a little behind schedule, as frankly, did not think we were covering qualifying, but it turns out that we do. So, with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and take a look and see where drivers are currently stacking themselves at the moment, as there is still quite a bit of time left here in the 25-minute qualifying that we have underway at the moment. Currently at the very tippy top of the field at the moment is going to be Jake Potts in the number 41 machine with the best time of a 1:42.88. Very good time here from Jake Potts, and currently going to be the driver to beat. But as I was getting a little bit of a look during practice before the start of today's events, seeing some fairly good times from a fair few drivers here. So we're going to see quite a few battles, I think, throughout the day here, and frankly, I'm excited to see what these drivers have in store for today's race. And frankly, Monza always having some fairly good racing coming out of it, and with these cars especially, I think it'll be a fantastic day of racing here today. And folks, I hope you all are excited and ready for today's events. I know that I certainly am. It is a good morning for race day here on a Sunday. And for those of you tuning in and watching us, joining us from wherever you might happen to be, thank you all for tuning in. It's great to have you all watching here today. And let's go ahead and see who's out there at the moment, see what everyone's best times currently are, and just kind of get an idea of where everyone is currently sitting at. We already talked about Jake Potts a little bit, but just behind him in second place, Jeff Schroeder in the number 73. He's going to be second place at the moment with a 143.146. And I have to imagine here, as some drivers get out here, get back out on track after coming back into the pits after practice, getting themselves worked back into it, getting that line worked back into themselves. Sometimes it takes a lap or two to warm those tires back up and be able to actually get the grip that they need out of them to be able to turn those lap times. And the track temperatures can also play a huge part of that in as well. Certain areas getting a little too hot, the car starts to, well, not drive nearly as well as you would want it to. And given that this is an open qualifying here, there are plenty of drivers around the track to have to navigate around or with as you make your laps here today. So everyone doing a fantastic job, though, keeping themselves well and away from anyone else. And so far, no incidents that I have at least been aware of yet. Maybe Race Control has seen something that I haven't seen, but there are always more eyes than one, being mine, that are on the track at the moment. So I'm sure there have definitely been some slip-ups here and there, but so far, everyone doing fairly well. As we're watching right now with Lennart Schneebel here in the 4th place spot with a 143.273, so very close in competition for that 3rd place spot. And really, Schroeder is not too far ahead of that here as well. So let's go ahead. I want to see if we can get a ride on board here from the roll bar of the number 88 machine. Try and get a look at a lap here at Monza here in the Formula 3. This is something that I think a lot of people don't really get a whole lot of view of, especially in real life, where Formula 1 kind of dominates the television as far as Formula racing is concerned. So it's great to see drivers taking this Formula 3 car and making series with it, and overall having a fun time with it. It's not to say that the Formula 3, Formula 2 isn't alive and well. It is thriving, to say the least. But, oh boy, a little bit of a slip up here as we go into the grass and right on through. Schneebel's going to take that one back into the pits here as he's going to get that car off track and away from other drivers here. But we're going to watch on board here. Well, not on board, but we're going to watch along with Weston Epps here in the number 24 machine. So far right now, everyone within the top, I want to say, the top 10 at the moment is all within a few tenths of a second of each other. And that is, I think, going to show some really good action here throughout today's race. Both the sprint as well as the feature. And I do believe our sprint race is, if I recall correctly, is 8 laps. And our feature is going to be 21 laps here tonight. Taking a look at some other drivers throughout the field, though, just giving everyone a little bit of TV time here while we are still in our qualifying round here before we get ourselves into the start of our, I believe our sprint will be first. If I remember how iRacing does things, it can be a little wonky sometimes, but I think that's the order that we're going to go in. Is the sprint race will be first, followed by our feature. I could be backwards on that, but we'll find out when we get to that point. We've still got just about 10 minutes in qualifying. Patrick Olsen, as he makes his way out of the kind of the rounded chicane, if you will, there. A little bit of a mistake getting into the gravel and quickly recovers it. Looks like no other damage done to that machine there, at least that I can see. I'm sure the suspension is definitely going to feel a little wobbly after that one, but Patrick Olsen and the Team Banana 77 still looking good out there, still turning laps, so he's going to keep with it, keep on trucking here today. Alex Johnson, though, and for those of you overseas and beyond, I hope I am getting at least some of your names somewhat correctly. I do apologize for my, well, lack of ability to pronounce some of your names, but I will do my best, I promise. And we will have a document released to the drivers at some point So that way, myself up here in the booth, and anyone else that happens to be up here in the booth, whether it's anyone from TGS or another broadcaster with the iFormula series, is able and has a readily available document to hopefully help in that regard. But that is neither here nor there. We are focused on the action here today and what today is going to hold here at Monza. And I gotta say, it is, as I said before, Monza always has some fairly good racing coming out of it. And with the long straights that we have here, with these cars in particular, names can be so hard. They can be hard sometimes. You know, words in general can be hard sometimes. Let's be honest. But with the Formula 3 car, I find that with these longer straights, you have a lot more time to build up that draft. You can really get tucked in right behind a driver, and it just creates a very, very interesting dynamic that you sometimes don't get too much with the Formula 1 cars, which for a lot of drivers, it's just not as simple to drive. It takes a lot of skill to be extremely quick in those Formula 1 cars, both in the sim and in the real world, of course. Clearly, in the real world, it is it feels like driving a spaceship at times with all of the things that you can do at the push of a button. It is incredible how much technology exists in these cars to this day. So, and it only continues to get more and more sophisticated, and a lot more technology being thrown into these cars. Well, some people view it as a not so great thing. Some people view it as the opposite. It all depends on where you're sitting, whether you're in the pits or in the stands, I guess is the best way to put it. But again, we will see what direction the world of racing heads into as we progress into the future. More and more technology evolving towards the direction of electrification, battery-driven vehicles, and so on and so forth. And so far, we've still managed to keep combustion engines in a lot of motorsports, but there may be a time where that might not be as common as it is today, and I hopefully don't live to see that day. I'm sure I will, but either way, racing will continue on, and I'm excited to see where it goes. In the meantime, I'm sorry I took a little bit of a left turn there, talking about different subjects, but we've got plenty of time here, and still waiting to see who's going to challenge our leader at the moment, Alex Johnson, currently with that 142.52 as his best time. Jake Potts still holding on into that second place spot. I know that there was more drivers during practice that were in that 142 neighborhood, and I wonder if, there it is, Lennart Schneebel, I believe, sneaking in there on me, but with a 142.872 as his best time. So we've got some drivers that are able to get into that 142 range when tires are at peak conditions. Hopefully turn one is better than yesterday. Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see, Volker. You know, it looks like quite a healthy field, and I gotta say, yeah, I gotta say, it looks like it's going to be quite the race here today. Turn one is going to be very, very interesting, and I don't know how we're going to catch all that action, but we're going to do our best. That is for certain. We've got a few drivers as well that are joining in here a little late into the session, so we'll see some drivers potentially start. Well, not necessarily start, but that won't put in any times here in qualifying. A few drivers that have not put any times in yet. Paul Ayala, the number 85, has not come out of the pits at all yet here. Let's see here. The full name is Koff here, so I can't read the full name, but Cuthbert And the number 55 is also yet to put in a lap here. Frederick Larson is working his way out of the pits. Jack Clark and Hjalmar Ahlberg have all yet to make their way out of the pits here. So just a few drivers that are waiting, or maybe not even waiting, just waiting for the grid to form up here. But as for the rest of the field, though, quite a healthy and stacked field of drivers, and so far, looking at timing and scoring, everyone doing a very good job keeping within only a few seconds of each other as far as pace is concerned. How that pace will translate here from qualifying into the race itself, both the sprint as well as the feature, it remains to be seen, at least for myself. I'm sure those of you who have tuned in before, have watched some of the previous broadcasts, know the pace of these drivers and kind of can almost predict what we're going to see here. But for myself, this is going to be kind of a fresh start for, well, for the broadcast side of things at least. This will be my first look to see how these drivers are going to perform here today. Who's going to be the ones to look out for? A few drivers through the first chicane, through turn one, as we saw just in the background there, as we're getting a little bit of a side-by-side race here, not necessarily a little bit of a preview of what we're going to see once the once the lights go out here. There goes my oval commentary slipping in there. You'll have to excuse me if I do have some oval commentary lingo being thrown in there every now and then. That seems to still be a part of my skill set. But either way, we're gonna have a great day here at Monza, and with the iFormula League, I think it's going to be a fantastic day and a fantastic race for these drivers. Again, I'm still curious to see how the first lap really is going to go for this field. Essentially, turn one, notorious for all kinds of calamity to happen, and a lot of the times we'll see drivers just kind of take the runoff. They won't even bother to take the full chicane. They'll just take the time penalty and just run through the runoff. It's astonishing sometimes, but that's what happens when we have as many drivers as we do coming to this track, and just with as tight and narrow as turn one can be. Can't really fit more than 2 race cars there at a time, and even then, that's pushing it. And Volker wishing for a caution-free race here today. And Volker, I think I might be right there with you. We'll see how it goes, but I think once we get through the first lap, get ourselves a little bit of room between drivers, not much, but enough to be able to navigate through these tight turns. I think things might be able to settle out a little bit, but from what we've been seeing here in qualifying and in practice, drivers are definitely pushing things to the absolute limits, trying to squeeze every inch out of this racetrack that they possibly can, and sometimes resulting in a little bit too much being taken and not enough being given from the drivers. So whether or not we'll see any major incidents throughout today's race, I'm more than certain, actually, that we will see some events happen here today that are a little unsavory for some drivers. But what that means for the broadcast and for the viewers at home, I think it will be quite the spectacle for us here today. And there is a prime example of taking things a little bit too far there, just going a little too fast. Trying to go through 5 and 6, but ultimately he's going to take it back down into pit road as there's only, well, now the checkered flag flies here for qualifying as we wrap things up and we get ourselves ready to start things out here today. Let's try and go through our starting lineup as quickly as we can here. Alex Johnson, Lennart Schneebel in the first row, Jake Potts, Cody Grahams in the second row, Weston Epps, Jeff Schroeder in the third row, Andy Miller and Joachim Floodman in the fourth row, Rachel Jimenez, Danny O'Keefe in the fifth row, Marian Barbero and John Journey in the sixth row. Moving ourselves down the grid here, we have Arturo Mayorga and Frank Beezer in our seventh row. Alex Gutnick, Ian Rude in our eighth row. Victor Solano, Patrick Olson in our ninth row. Kenneth Paul and Justin Basori in our 10th row. Frederick Larson, Stuart Gibbons in our 11th row. Randolph Smith, Ted Kuhlman in our 12th row. Kyle Matheson, Mick Marshall, 13th row. Jacob Szymanski, Paul Ayala in our 14th row. Jack Clark, Hjalmar Alberg in our 15th row. And Cuthbert Voltex rounding out the field here in 31st as we get ourselves patiently awaiting for the lights to go out here for the very first time here at Monza for the iFormula League F3 Series, brought to you by Butt Kicker and Extreme Scoring. Just a few more moments until we see the 5 red lights, and we let this field off for the very first time, and we see just exactly what is going to happen here for our drivers going through the first chicane. And there is the lights. Out they go, and away we go for the very first time. Alex Johnson, a very good start. Almost seemed even a little early there, possibly jumping off the line potentially a little earlier than expected. Let's see how this field works their way through. One driver going through the runoff here, one into the grass. A few bits of contact in the back of the field. But so far, so good. Not a whole lot of major contact happening as far as I can tell. But that seemed to go a lot better than I think a lot of us were expecting here. And Alex Johnson still in the lead at the moment, unsure if we are going to have anything change here, since that did seem to be a jump on the start there, as Volker is suggesting here as well in the chat. It definitely seemed like that up here in the booth, but I can't say for certain. I'm not race control, but watching here right now, John Journey in the number 31 machine having a little bit of a battle here. Few bouts happening on track at the moment. Drivers getting side by side with one another as we work our way through turns 5 and 6. Or excuse me, this is 8, 9. Few drivers getting off track here towards the back of the field. We have Justin Pasori working his way around. Oh boy. Not an ideal place to be out on track right now as they come down the long straight, heading towards turn 11. The final turn here before they work their way onto the front straight. Oh! Right as we tune in, big contact here on the front straight, right on the exit of pit wall here. Big flip here. Lennart Schneebel in the 88 machine. That was huge, huge contact for these two. My, oh my. I'm going to have to see if we can get a replay of that. That was just intense. Let's take a look at the instant replay here both bumping wheel to wheel with one another, and up he goes into the air like a rocket. Good thing for the catch fence there, and wow. Just flew straight into the air like a missile. But so far, Alex Johnson, Cody Grams, Weston Epps are top three at the moment. Going to work their way away from the field and keep themselves up in the top at the moment. And so far, the gap at the moment between our leader and second place of Cody Grams is nearly up to 2 seconds at this moment. So Alex is enjoying all that free air, clean air ahead of him at the moment. So I don't think he's going to have too much to worry about here at the moment. And I was incorrect when I said it was going to be the sprint first in the feature. It is indeed the feature first, and we will see the sprint right after this. Here as we're watching three-wide action. Heading into turn number 1 into the chicane. John Nicholas Journey going to be the one to back out of that battle, not wanting to have any sort of incident develop between that. But now Marion Barbaru and the number 13 machine going to be side by side with the number 31 for just a moment as they work their way through the second chicane onto the long straight, heading to turn number 8. And you can see on the bottom right-hand side of your screen just how the field is looking at the moment and just where everyone is currently at. And currently looking at 9th place, Marion Barbaru. Here in that number 13, the blue and orange, it looks like. I think that's orange. But the blue and orange machine, and looking great out there on track at the moment, trying to work their way further and further up into the top 10 here as they continue to challenge Alex Gutnick in the number 14 machine just ahead of him. Alex going to try and break up some of that air behind him, but Marion going to be right on the side here as we come down the front straight, heading into turn number 1. Alex going to be the one with the advantage here, going to be on the inside through the chicane, has the advantage and continues his fight here for the 8th place spot. And Andy Ray Miller currently in 7th place, going to start to see the number 14 close in behind him as it seems to be we've got lap traffic here also forming out here on track with Frank Beezer, the number 61 machine, just ahead here of our 7th place driver at the moment. So already some drivers finding themselves laps down and into the gravel here. Oh boy. Keeping things calm and steady here for the 333 machine of Andy Ray Miller. And also just behind them as well, another driver also getting into the gravel as well. Arturo, the number 2 driver, also looking to get in on some of the action here as well, getting past John Journey as well as Andy Ray Miller, Rachel Jimenez as well. John Journey trying to do everything that he can to continue this fight for the 9th place spot as they're side by side with one another. We're right on the roll bar here with the number 31 driver of John Nicholas Journey. So far, excellent racing here that we are seeing across the field, and a lot of great action. Here's we also have Arturo Mayorga as well as Rachel Jimenez duking it out here for the 10th place spot. A lot of action developing here kind of in the midfield and a little bit beyond as well. A lot of this field starting to get themselves a little bit more room to work with, a little bit more space here as we enter into what will be our 6th lap. Once we see our leader make their way through the final turn, as currently they are on that final straightaway, heading into turn number 11. And so far, we continue to see these drivers fight for positions here in the top 10, and one spot near the 20th at the moment with Paul Ayala duking that out here with, I believe, Frederick Larson. For those of you at home that may be looking for a particular driver, whoever your favorite driver might be, if you cannot find them on the timing tower at the moment, that is because we are actually at 31 drivers on the field at the moment, and I do think with this particular overlay, I don't think we can show the entire field. Might be able to fix that here in the future, but for the time being, if there is a driver that you cannot see, they are just probably not in the top 25 at the moment. And we actually do have a couple drivers, I shouldn't say a couple drivers down in the pits here at the moment after what I will assume to be a few track incidents here. Jack Clark as well as Lennart Schneebel. We saw what happened to the number 88, the number 88 machine, and I do think Jack Clark was the other driver involved in that same incident where Lennart decided he didn't like racing anymore and wanted to become a pilot. So that just, very strange place to make a career decision like that, but hey, to each their own. Joachim Flodman, I hope I'm saying that right. Nicholas Journey as well, both still fighting here for the 8th place spot, and great action here between these two as they come down the straightaway and heading into turn number 1. The 33 driver going to be on the, gonna have the advantage here through the chicane, but biffs it as he goes over the curb, and that is going to be a mighty rough curb to go over. Definitely not one that is going to feel too good in that cockpit. So unfortunately, Nicholas Journey fortunately, I should say, for Nicholas Journey, he's going to be the one to come out on top of that battle for 8th place. Now going to have about a 3-second gap separating himself and 7th place driver Marian Barbero, who currently holding on to 7th at the moment, just about a half a second behind 6th place driver Alex Gutnick. So again, as drivers start to see a little bit of separation form between them, smaller battles starting to form out on track here. Not many, but still enough that I think over time here while we only have just under 15 laps left to go here, Alex Gutnick in the number 14 comes down into the pits along with Rachel Jimenez. Let's see if we can get a look Look at him coming down here into pit road, and here comes the 67 disappearing there for a moment, but making their return back here. Alex Gutnick, very quick pit stop here for the 14 machine. And I assume that will be probably the only stop that some of these drivers are going to make here. I don't think most drivers are going to be making any stops here. I want to say... Either way. Confusing myself a little bit here, but that just is the way it goes sometimes. Someone finding themselves a little bit in a pickle here. Cuthbert, the number 55 machine, a little slow there coming out of the first chicane and getting back up to speed here, but very interesting situation there for the number 55. Not exactly certain what happened there, but oh boy, another driver here. Weston Epps, Jeff Schroeder both make their way into pit road here as well. You can see the 24 machine as well as the number 73 both working their way down into the pits to make their first stop of the race here today. So right now we're taking a look at the last lap time of each driver here at the moment, and we can see Johnson as well as Grams both still in that 1 minute 43 margin, and a few drivers behind them are near that point, but not quite. And we can also see Marian Barbero doing an absolutely fantastic job, actually improving here in their lap times. It seems like just slowly but surely working in those laps and just staying consistent. And that's typically that is the biggest name of the game here, is consistency. Being able to stay consistent in these races, keeping your pace as close to the same as you humanly possibly can, usually is going to be the thing that helps you out the most in a race like this. But some battles starting to form back here in sort of kind of the tail of the field here, or actually more or less the midfield, literally. Some drive. Oh, contact, big contact, and oh boy, Kenneth Paul. Not even a victim of that incident. Oh boy, oh boy. Not an ideal situation here for Ken Paul at all. But drivers who have improved the most here since the start of today's race, and that driver is the 63 of Ted Kuhlman. Currently in 7th place at the moment, has worked his way up 17 positions since we have started today's race, and that is just absolutely astonishing to see here in a race like this. Ted doing a phenomenal job here, working through the field and trying to make up as many positions as he possibly could. Almost made it to the top 5 here, but 7th place currently, and still 10 laps left to go in today's race. So I don't think Ted is exactly done just quite yet. see Justin Pastori as well as Weston Epps. They're both going to have a little bit of a bout here as well, side by side, as they work their way through turn 11. The long right-hander going on to the front straightaway, and in goes Pasori into pit road. Going to take the 65 machine and get some fuel as well as maybe tires. I'm not sure if anyone has gotten tires here today. Let's see if Justin is going to here. Okay, they do. And we've got some battles starting to... Welcome, James. Welcome back to the show. And no, I don't think we have Molleret today. But at the moment, John Nicholas Journey as well as Alex Gutnick battling it out for the 12th place spot here at the moment. And other than these two drivers, Ted Kuhlman and Jeff Schroeder are going to be the only battles out on track at the moment. So as the field is slowly working their way through the pits, I should say, and I think we are just about halfway through that here as well. So I do think that once we have the entirety of the field having made their way through pit road, but Ted Kuhlman now going to make their way through pit road. John Nicholas Journey going to be still battling here with Alex Gutnick, but really kind of lingering behind that number 14 machine. Let's see if we can capitalize on the brake zone here into turn 1. Closes the gap. Not quite nearly as much as he wanted to there. Lost about 1/10 of a second out of the chicane, and now going to have to bring that one back. Alex DeGreat informing me that drivers must take tires and will have to take fuel since we limit fuel to 50% tank, 6 gallons. That is great information to know. So now that makes a lot of sense here for drivers coming in a little bit earlier than what I was expecting here, but that is all making much more sense now, and I assumed to be the case in some form or another. Back in 23rd, Jake Potts, who took second in qualifying here, or at least from what I remember, it might have changed in the final few laps there, but Potts was in the top drivers of qualifying and now sitting 23rd at the moment. Going to have to find something here for himself in the number 41 machine, see if he can pull a little bit of pace out of that car and hopefully be able to improve that position here after a lot better of a start than after a good start in qualifying. I'm sure Jake Potts is probably hoping to have a good performance here in the feature race. But sometimes that is not always how things work out for you. But we see Ted Kuhlman here driving through the runoff here of the chicane. Back here in 12th, and wasn't a bit of a battle here. I believe that was with Jacob Szyminski, but that might have disintegrated here through that first chicane. But Alex Gutnick currently fending off John Journey. The two Canadians going to have a little bit of a bout here for the 8th place spot at the moment. I'm going to see who's going to be the top Canadian after this one. But meanwhile, all jokes aside, Marian Barbaro going to be the one coming down into pit road here in the top 5. There's actually been a few drivers that have made their way through here in that top 5 category. Jeff Schroeder, Weston Epps, both making their way through pit road here already. But the top 3, Alex Johnson, Cody Grams, and Danny O'Keefe, have yet to make their way into the pits and take any tires or any fuel here. So they've done a fantastic job of fuel saving here, of making sure that they are utilizing as much fuel as they possibly can and as much of those tires as they possibly can before they need to come down into the pits and grab a fresh set and grab fuel. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, if you can finish the race with as fresh of tires as you possibly can, that's going to just help you in the long run. And here it goes. Alex Johnson, the number 196 machine, coming down here into pit road. And Cody Graham's right behind him. So we might just see this battle for the lead shape up here a little bit sooner than any of us might have expected. Johnson's in. Grams is out. Johnson's out. Traffic here for Grams as he tries to exit pit road and tries to get back to the tail end of Alex, but that isn't quite going to work out the way that I think Grams may have been hoping for in that situation, or maybe wasn't even expecting. Either way, either how, that could have been a huge advantage here for Cody Grams if that would have came out a little bit closer to one another. But it seems to be the final remaining drivers working their way down into the pits. Stuart Gibbons and Jacob Seminski, both down in pit road at the moment, grabbing fuel as well as tires and working their way back out onto track here to finish out today's race with just about 6 laps left to go here. And so while James East and Alex are talking a little bit about the fall off with the newest tire model here on iRacing for the Formula 3 vehicles, let's actually take a look and see just kind of what the comparison is like for older tires, or well, just for tires in general. Get an idea of what the lap times are like over a period of time. Granted, this isn't the most laps that we can do here. Granted, I wish we were able to, but the limits of the technology available to us. So, right now, we can see Johnson currently doing fairly well, staying within a few tenths of his usual pace at the moment. Lap 14, a little bit slower, obviously having to accommodate for the pit road as well. And lap 15 being the first lap after coming out. So, can't really use those, but lap 11, 12, and 13, we can see very, very consistent times here for the 196 machine, and you can see Cody Graham's difference there as well. Cody Graham's a little bit slower on lap 11, but picking up the pace in lap 12 and lap 13, and very significantly in lap 13, picking up almost a half a second in that 13th lap. So, I think it is very interesting to see how different drivers handle tire management over the course of a race, and just how well some drivers really are at managing those tires. It's something that can be very difficult to learn, but once you figure it out and once you are able to keep those tires cool, well, not necessarily cool, but keep those tires from wearing down quickly is the biggest factor. And it's still something that I myself as a driver am not any good at, but I try. So now that the field has, everyone's made their way down into pits, everyone's grabbed tires, fuel. Most of the field has quite a bit of room to work with here. We can actually take a look at that here on the bottom right-hand side of your screen on the track map. And while things look relatively close together there on the track map itself, there is actually quite a bit of room between each of these drivers. And right now, the driver that we're looking at, Stuart Gibbons, here in the number 47, with Rachel Jimenez just ahead in that 67 machine. There is about a second separating these two. And while for those of you who may not be as familiar with racing may say, that doesn't seem like a lot of time, in racing terms, that can be an eternity to try and work that back down. A driver getting off track here. Not sure who that was, but someone trying to keep their car from going in onto the racing line here and causing any other issues out on track here. But so far, everyone doing a good job maintaining the track conditions and keeping this race clean in that regard. Granted, there have been a few situations already that we saw with Jack Clark and Lennart Schneebel both having quite an interesting day here at Monza. Riding on board here with Jacob Szyminski, as he's got a little bit of lap traffic just ahead of him. Actually, excuse me, that's not lap traffic. That's Nick Marshall in the number 32 machine here in for the 15th place spot here. So going to go around the outside here as they make their way through the second chicane. And okay, Jacob, big mistake here through the second chicane, getting right up onto the curbs here. Sends that car just bouncing through the air, settling back down onto the ground. I'm sure the pit crew is going to be radioing him very soon about that one. That was a rough ride through that second chicane. And after such a great maneuver around the 32 of Nick Marshall, I frankly wasn't expecting that, but that's just the way it goes. James, I was right there with you. I was gonna say, it made Nick Marshall look like he was standing still, but that mistake quickly brought him back down to reality here, I think. But I think Jacob also is going to be probably shaking his head after that one and trying to recoup that. But big off track here from Joachim Floodman, or I believe that was Joachim. Where'd they go? Or I believe that was Hjalmar. Here in the number 20 machine, I was going to say the green car, but I realized that both Hjalmar and Joachim both have the same paint scheme on their car, so well, yeah. So, either way, either how, 1 lap left to go here. Here at Monza as we prepare for what will be the final lap once Alex Johnson makes his way across that line. It will be the final lap of today's race, at least for the feature, before we get into our sprint. Weston Epps and Jeff Schroeder. The next closest battle that we have on the track here, and in the top 3 as well. Whether or not we will see these two drivers get close to one another, I think is remained to be seen, given that we've only got this final lap to go. As here comes Alex Johnson across the line, brings out the white flag here at Monza for the iFormula League Formula 3 Series for the Italian Grand Prix for round number 4 for our feature event here today. Johnson going to, well, I assume going to be the one to become victorious here in the feature, with Cody Grahams following closely behind, and Jeff Schroeder in that 3rd place spot. Whether or not Weston Epps will be able to capitalize on this little bit of distance that he has between himself and Schroeder, granted it is just a little over a half a second, that is quite a bit of distance to cover here, but let's see if he's going to be able to pull it off here. Great work here through the 2nd chicane, closing the gap just a little bit by a 10th. Let's see if he can continue to close it here through turns 5 and 6. Loses a little bit of pace here out of 5 through 6, out onto the short straightaway. Or I shouldn't say short, rather long. Continuing to close the gap here by a 10th, and 1 turn left to go. Getting into that draft, staying right on the rear of that number 73 machine, takes it wide as we go through turn number 11. Tries to get onto the inside here, not able to do so. Weston Epps gonna have to stay right behind the 73 machine of Jeff Schroeder as they take it across the line here at Monza. But what a fight that Weston Epps put up here. Great action for these two drivers and for this field, and a great win in the feature event here for Alex Johnson in the number 196. Great racing overall from this entire field, and I'm excited to see what the sprint is going to have in store for us. 8 laps in total that we will see for the sprint, if I do recall correctly. I think that is the right number, and there we go. Alex Johnson hitting the rev limiter on that 196. Very good sound to hear after a solid win. But let's go ahead and go through our post-race results here for our, well, we'll have to wait until our field makes their way across the line here. All right, now that we've got the final drivers coming across the line here, let's take a look at our post-race results for our feature event, as we have a little bit of time to warm up here before the start of our next session. Alex Johnson taking home the win here with Cody Grams in second, Jeff Schroeder in third, Weston Epps in fourth place, Danny O'Keefe in fifth, Marian Barbaro in sixth, Alex Gutnick in seventh, John Journey in eighth, Arturo Mayorga in ninth place, Frederick Larson in 10th place, Rachel Jimenez in 11th, Stuart Gibbons in 12th, Ian Rude in 13th, Ted Kuhlman in 14th, Nick Marshall in 15th, Jacob Szyminski in 16th, Randolph Smith in 17th, Andy Miller in 18th. Moving ourselves down the lineup here, we have Andy Ray Miller in 18th, Jake Potts in 19th, Joachim Floodman in 20th, Hjalmar Alberg in 21st, Kenneth Paul in 22nd, Cuthbert Voltex in 23rd, Patrick Olson in 24th, Frank Bieser in 25th, Justin Pasori in 26th, Kyle Matheson in 27th, Paul Ayala in 28th. Moving ourselves a little bit further down the grid here, Victor Solona in 29th, Jack Clark in 30th, and Lennart Schneebel in 31st. So that is our finishing order here for our first feature event of the night, or for the day here, rather. And we're going to go ahead and have a few minutes here before we get into the start of our sprint race here today. And Alex saying, now 5-minute break in the top 12 reverse grid sprint for 6 laps. So I was wrong. It wasn't 8 laps. It was 6 laps. And I better get a drink because it's going to be nonstop. Well, I will heed your warning and I will do just that here. But folks, I want you all to stick around. Hopefully everyone is getting themselves ready for the start of our sprint race here today, as drivers continue to, again, get a little bit of warm up in before we get the final 6 laps started here today. And I want to thank each and every single one of you, everyone who is tuned in here tonight, or rather, again, today. I keep saying tonight because that's my usual broadcast schedule, but again, folks, thank you all for tuning in. It has been an absolute pleasure to be here so far, but we've still got a little bit more action left, so stay tuned. Don't go anywhere because we'll be back for more action right here on Team Goon Squad, and more iRacing to be seen in just a few minutes.
Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away go for the first time. Nicholas Porcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got 3 wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Let's go out here for circuit disqualification. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 the lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, just insane.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons. Welcome back, race fans, as we only have just a few seconds left to go before we kick off the start of our sprint race here tonight. The top 12 inverted grid for our 6 laps of our sprint race here today. The checkered flag is out, so drivers are now going to get themselves down to the starting grid, and we're going to go ahead and get ourselves ready to go here for the 6 laps of our sprint race here today, as drivers begin to make their way out onto the starting line. And we get ready to kick things off here once again, for the lights to go out one more time and to see who is going to take home the win for the sprint. Will it be our feature winner, Alex Johnson, working himself all the way back from 12th place to the front, or will it be another driver yet to be named? I'm sorry, James. And here we go. The 5 red lights. 1. And out we go, and away we go. Very first time, and we've got a chaotic field heading their way right into turn number 1. Let's see how the front of the pack is going to handle it. Driver off into the grass here. That's Stuart Gibbons, the driver who started off in the front. And we've got calamity here, as we've got drivers all bunched in with one another. Drivers working their way all over one another. It only continues to get worse as it goes on. Oh, look away, folks. Don't look for too long. The calamity. But luckily able to work their way. Majority of the field able to get away from all of that and continues to race on beyond that. Here's we're watching with John Nicholas Journey. A few drivers getting a little bit off track. They're almost snagging themselves into the gravel. Able to keep themselves away from it, but Rachel Jimenez currently going to be the driver. Oh boy, a few drivers getting themselves into a little bit of a mess up here. Back behind them. Oh, it only gets worse, folks. It just keeps going. And the yellow flag will fly. That is, wow. Wow. Well, James, I turned them back. I turned the intervals back on, and then as soon as I did that, the yellow flag flew. So I'll just keep that nice and tidy there for now. Safety car is out here, and we are going to see the field get another chance at a restart here, and a little bit of a fun fact here as well. I'm pretty sure this is correct here, but it's commentator's curse. But a little bit of a fun fact here. I do believe that this the iRacing Porsche safety car is actually going away in the next update. It will be replaced by the default iRacing safety car, which is, well, some people may say it's a little sad, but that is just a little bit of a fun fact here for those of you that may or may not know. But I'm pretty sure that is what is going to happen here. But let's go ahead while we have a little bit of time here. I want to go look at that restart here again because that was just absolutely astonishing to see here. Let's go ahead. Here we go. One more time, we're going to take a look at this replay and see bird's eye view just how things started here for the iFormula League and for the Formula 3 series here into the sprint. The opening of the first 6 laps, and here into turn 1, off into the grass, we see Stuart Gibbons go. The number 47 going to have to work his way through the runoff here, but more drivers able to work their way through all that, and it's where back here things are a little bit more interesting, and we can even stop this here for a second. We'll back things up for just a moment and just to see how this all transpired. And there it is, just a pile of cars forming here right in the middle of the track. An unideal situation for every driver in this involved. My, oh my, what a start to our sprint here today. And as Alex DeGreat is alluding to, here in the chat, this never happens. This is something that is completely out of the norm here. So here on this restart, Rachel Jimenez, Frederick Larson, Weston Epps going to take the top 3. Here at the moment in the rest of the field, Alex Gutnick in the 4th place spot, John Journey in 5th, Ryan Barbaro in 6th place, Alex Johnson in 7th, Jeff Schroeder in 8th, Jake Potts in 9th, and Danny O'Keefe in that 10th place spot. Lights are off on the safety car. This will be the last time around before we go back to racing here for what I do believe will be the last time, as we are currently lap 3 of 6, and I'm going to assume that caution laps are counted because this is something that's a little unexpected here. From what I am reading and what I am understanding. As Alex is alluding to, yeah, this is going to be essentially a 3-lap shootout for these drivers, and I think this might be this might be even more chaotic than what we were initially anticipating. As we can see behind these drivers, they are all just bobbing and weaving and having a dandy old time back there, getting ready to kick things off as we're looking out the rear view of the number 67 machine. Yeah, I think this is going to be chaotic, to say the least. A very, very impressive looking field that we have here for the iFormula League, the Formula 3 Series. And here we go, folks. Out of turn number 11, we get ready to go back to racing here for the very first, well, for the second time. But for the very first time in iFormula League history during a sprint session. It already calamity right even before as we cross the line. We continue to go racing though. Let's see what happens here in the final laps here at Monza for our sprint series. Rachel Jimenez doing a very good job working through the first chicane. The top 5 doing phenomenally. Someone just blew right through that. I have no idea who that was, but someone just absolutely flew through that. As if it didn't even existed. That was insanity. But up here in the top 10 at the moment, there is action all over the place right now. Drivers side by side working their way through the second chicane. John Journey, doing a phenomenal job working his way through the action here as more. Oh boy, calamity behind the field here. Drivers getting into one another. It just doesn't stop here at Monza. There is action all over this track here. I'm choking on myself just trying to get all the words out. Alex Johnson, Alex Gutnick, both the Alexes, double A going at it here. Oh boy, it just keeps on going here. One driver just biffed it into the wall. We've got more drivers getting involved with one another back here in the yellow. Oh boy, yellow flag is out here once again. Alex is wondering who just ran right through the runoff. Alex, let me see if I can find that for you, because that was funny. That was hysterical. Let's take a look at this replay, because this is just too funny. Oh boy, I didn't even see those two. Yeah, okay, that was coming across the line. Okay. But who was it that ran through? Because someone... Okay, we saw the driver, but we didn't see... Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so... Well, either way, I'm having trouble finding them right now, but... folks, I'm at a loss for words right now. I know that Alex is also very confused, and I think we all are at this point. The number 85. No, it wasn't the number 85. I definitely clicked Paul there, but I'm not sure who it was. I'm sure after the race we'll be able to figure that out, but I don't want to bore everyone at home with me just clicking through random drivers trying to find that one guy, but that was hysterical. It's on tape. It's on the broadcast. Whoever you are, you're a legend. But I do have to wonder here if this is going to mean I think this race might end under yellow flag. And if it does, wow. I mean, there's really no other words to say. That's just incredible. What a sprint that we've had here today. It's just been calamity. Yes, okay. And that's what I had to imagine, and that's what I thought was going to happen, and a yellow flag finish is what we are going to see here. So, folks, with that in mind here, I think it is as good of a time as any to wrap up the action here. At least we'll just run through our field and await the field to make their way back down into the pits and, well, across the line and officially finish the race here today. But Rachel Jimenez is going to be the winner of today's sprint. With Frederick Larson in second place and Alex Johnson in that third place spot. So Alex Johnson able to secure a top 3, even despite the conditions of that top 3 here today. Still a top 3, still a podium finish here for Johnson. So very good day here for the 196 machine, and Rachel Jimenez coming away with a win here as well. So overall, I think it's going to be a satisfactory or a relatively easy day here in the sprint race. Not exactly what any of these drivers were expecting, but you take what you can get, and I think ultimately for the drivers here on the podium, it's, well, again, just going to be one of those easy days, I suppose. But they had some fantastic moments, and it was some action-packed laps that we saw here in our sprint race as well as in the features. So great work overall to all of our drivers here, and just phenomenal racing that we had. We will see who we can pull in here for post-race interviews, if we can pull in anybody. I'm not exactly seeing anyone that I can pull in at the moment. We will figure that out here in just a moment. But that is going to be our action for today. That is going to conclude our race for today in all of the events here for the iFormula League F3 Series for round number 4 here at Monza. It's been a phenomenal day, and I hope everyone who's tuned in here today has enjoyed all the action and everything that today has had to offer, as the safety car is going to make its way back down into the pits here, but drivers are pretty much just going to drive it across the line, as you have to stay paced behind the leader for anything to happen here. So I think, and there it is, Rachel Jimenez. And there it is. The checkered flag flies here, and the race has concluded here today. And while we wait to see if we're going to get an interview with any drivers here today, we're going to go ahead and go into our post-race results here for our sprint race. Rachel Jimenez coming home with the win. Frederick Larson in second. Alex Johnson in third. Alex Gutnick in fourth. Jeff Schroeder in fifth place. Danny O'Keefe in sixth. John Journey in seventh. Brian Barbaro in 8th place, Patrick Olson in 9th, Ted Kuhlman in 10th place, Cuthbert Voltex in 11th place, Hjalmar Ahlberg in 12th place, Nick Marshall in 13th, Kyle Matheson in 14th, Kenneth Paul in 15th, Victor Solona in 16th, Paul Ayala in 17th, Justin Pasori in 18th, moving ourselves down the grid here, Ian Rude in 19th, Stuart Gibbons in 20th, Frank Beezer in 21st, Arturo Mayorga in 22nd, Jake Potts in 23rd, Weston Epps in 24th, Cody Grams in 25th, Randolph Smith in 26th, Joakim Floodman in 27th, and Jack Clark taking 28th here, and just a few more drivers to round it out. Jacob Szyminski in 29th, Andy Bray Miller in 30th, and Lennart Schneebel in 31st. A few drivers not starting the final race of the night here in our sprint race, but we do have some drivers here in the waiting room waiting to be interviewed here today. And let's go ahead and pull in Alex Johnson, our feature race winner, as well as our third place finisher here in the sprint. Alex, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on both of your podiums here today at Monza. Very, very impressive win in the feature race, and as well, maybe it was unexpected for everyone in the race as well as for everyone watching at home. Not exactly the finish that we were expecting here in the sprint, but I'm sure a welcomed one for yourself, having not just one, but two podiums and a win here tonight. So, I mean, Alex, what was your expectations coming here today, and do you think you met those expectations or exceeded them?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say whether I met or exceeded my expectations, because I really had no expectations going in. For the last 2 weeks, I've been laying floors, so I haven't done one single lap before the race session started. So don't ask me how I did it, but you can ask me how to lay floors, because that's I'm an expert at now.
Well, Alex, you did phenomenal here tonight, and next week I believe we are heading to Austria. I believe to the Red Bull Ring, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, given that you didn't put any practice in here at Monza, do you plan to do the same for Red Bull and hit Red Bull Ring and hopefully accomplish the same results here?
I was planning to do some practice, but then the floors came in my way. So, but I mean, I did not enjoy Monza driving it. Car was not feeling good. I felt like it was super slippery and very sketchy on entry into corners and stuff. So I'm happy to get over and do as good as I did at Monza. And like, yeah, I'm very happy that we're done and dusted with this now. And going onward to Red Bull Ring, I think it was. Yeah, I should be way better. I enjoy Red Bull Ring way more. It's a bit more downforce and a bit more difficult corners, I would say. So yeah, can't wait for Red Bull Ring now.
Well, I look forward to seeing you there. It was great to see what you had had for yourself behind the wheel of the 196, and hopefully for yourself and your team, you're able to secure a few more points heading into that race next week. But Alex, before I let you go, before you go on and install more floors, is there anyone that you want to shout out, anyone you want to thank, anyone in the pit crew? The floor is yours.
Of course, the floors. No, jokes aside. Big shout out to both of my teammates because we hauled all ass today, really. We got a big point for the team's championship as well. So, and compared to Nox, I think they had a bad day today. So yeah, all in all, we can't complain about today. And yeah, shout out to the team, of course, and shout out to our sponsors.
Absolutely. Well, Alex, thank you for joining me up here in the booth. It was a pleasure to have you, and I look forward to speaking to you hopefully again in the future. And good luck to you next week at Red Bull Ring, and hopefully we get to talk again in the same capacity.
Certainly. Thanks for tonight, mate. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. All right, folks, that was Alex Johnson coming home with the 3rd place spot here tonight. And up next is going to be 2nd place driver Frederick Larson coming home in 2nd in the number 7 machine. Frederick, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on your podium here tonight for the number 7 machine as well as for your team. A little bit of a chaotic sprint race that we had here today, and for the feature race as well, you performed well in the feature. Were you hoping to kind of capitalize on that momentum from that feature race and carry it into the sprint, albeit again we had a chaotic sort of a sprint here, but what was ultimately your goal heading in from the feature into the sprint?
Firstly, I didn't notice that the race started this early, so I had 2 qualifying laps, and that was the only practice I had like the entire weekend. So I was just happy to get a clean lap in the qualifying, and then in the feature race, my goal was to just get into the top 12, so I could start somewhere in the top in the sprint. And then yeah, in the sprint, I just thought I knew that I can't remember who started in P1, but I could see he had the medium downforce, and I was just like, yes, I don't need to do that much to overtake him. Yeah, I think I wanted to finish P1, and I think it was realistic to do so. But yeah, every time I was coming up to the start-finish straight, and I was right behind Jimenez, we got a safety car, so I didn't manage to overtake her, but I mean, it is what it is. It was close racing, at least. I mean,
very
at
close.
Some point, yeah. But yeah, I was hoping for a better result in the feature as well, but obviously when you don't practice at all, basically, then it's a bit tough to get that.
Well, after tonight, and I mean, frankly, from what I saw and from what I could see throughout the feature as well as in the sprint, albeit what little laps that we had during the sprint, you were performing very, very well, and looking forward into next race, heading to Red Bull Ring. You said it yourself, not a whole lot of practice that you were able to put in for this race. Are you hoping to do so for Red Bull Ring and hopefully get those times worked in a little bit more and be a little bit more competitive for Red Bull Ring?
Usually I practice an hour before, and that is usually enough. So yeah, I'm hoping to get an hour of practice in before. I mean, 2 laps is simply just not enough. I realized that today. Yeah, and hopefully, I can't actually remember how I usually do at Red Bull Ring. Monza is usually one of my weakest tracks, so usually the high-speed tracks is not my favorite. I like the small, twisty circuits a lot more. So let's see.
Well, Frederick, you did a phenomenal job here today, and I look forward to seeing you carry that momentum into future races. But before I let you go here, before you celebrate with your teammates, your fellow drivers, is anyone you want to shout out, anyone you want to thank, whether at home, in the pit crew? The floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, Danny, obviously, great teammate. He provided me with a setup that was actually amazing. He is our team's Adrian Newey. He knows how to set up this car, and it's amazing. And yeah, and he also got a great position this race as well. P5 in the feature. So yeah, shout out to him.
Well, Frederick, I want to thank you for joining me up here in the booth, and it was great to have you. And hopefully, I get to talk to you next week at Red Bull Ring, and hopefully, we get to see you perform even better next week.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, good luck to you, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Yep.
Alrighty, folks, that was Frederick Larson coming out of the booth in second place in that number 7 machine. Up next, last and certainly not going to be least here, Rachel Jimenez going to be coming home with the win here today in the number 67. Rachel, congratulations on your win for the sprint here today. Probably not exactly the way you were hoping to pull off a win here, but I mean, hey, a win is a win, right?
That's right. I'm pleased. I definitely got lucky because I was getting caught for sure. If we'd had some more racing, but yeah, it was strange, but I'll take it.
And looking at some of the comments, kind of hearing some of the info from behind the scenes, this is not a usual thing to happen here for the sprint as well. So not exactly something that I don't think any of you drivers were expecting. To see that yellow flag fly here with only a 6-lap sprint. So yourself as a driver in that included, I mean, what was kind of running through your head when you saw that yellow flag, or when race control was telling you, hey, yellow flag is out? What was the first thing that came into your head?
I thought, how strange, to have a safety car, laps in a 6-lap race, but this was my first league race ever, and I'd never in regular officials on iRacing, we don't have that. So I was just kind of like biding my time. I wasn't exactly sure what was going to happen.
Well, I think, Rachel, it worked out the best for yourself, and hopefully we get to see some more of yourself racing next week at Red Bull Ring, and hopefully get to carry this success forward into Red Bull Ring. What do you kind of expect to see out of Red Bull, and do you hope to perform well there?
I'm excited. We did do Red Bull Ring in the last season in the iRacing officials, so I've had quite a lot of practice there, and just looking forward to it. We shall see how it goes. We'll see, particularly how turn 2 goes, and what kind of chaos happens there. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm excited to be a member of this league now, and it's a really good time. So can't wait.
Absolutely. Well, Rachel, before I let you go here and before you begin your celebrations, is there anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home or in the pits that you want to shout out and thank before you go?
Yes, I want to thank Stephanie for taking care of me, making sure I had everything I needed, and was not disturbed while I raced today. This is kind of like a big deal here at the house, so it's kind of fun.
Well, Rachel, it was a pleasure talking to you here, and hopefully we get to talk again next week at Red Bull Ring. But for now, congratulations once again, and I look forward to seeing you next week, and hopefully we get to talk to you again in a similar capacity.
Thanks so much. I'd love it. Thanks.
Absolutely. You have yourself a great one.
All right. Thanks. You too.
Alrighty, folks. That was Rachel Jimenez out of the booth here, taking home the win for our sprint race here tonight. And unfortunately, that's going to conclude our coverage of today's event. And I hope that everyone enjoyed what they saw here today. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Same time, same place, as we head to the Red Bull Ring and get ourselves ready for the action there. But my name is Mason Heimball, bringing you the action here today with Team Goon Squad. I hope everyone enjoyed what they saw. If you did, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and catch all the action that we have here on Team Goon Squad nearly 7 days a week. And for now, I will see you all next week, same time, same place, and we will see you all in the next one.
Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Bolts. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean Rose.
looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Doms, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now as we've got 3 wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Nice to go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 the lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.